They laughed at him, not once, not twice, but every single day. They said he was too quiet, too slow, too invisible to matter. And maybe the worst part? He never defended himself. He just stood there, listened, and walked away. At first glance, Daniel didn't look like someone who would ever win in life. He wasn't the loudest in the room. He didn't fight for attention. He didn't interrupt conversations just to be heard. In meetings, he sat quietly in the corner. In gatherings, he observed more than he spoke. In arguments, he chose silence. And because of that, people misunderstood him. They thought silence meant weakness. They thought quiet meant fear. They thought calm meant he had nothing to say. So they overlooked him. Again, and again, and again. There was a group of people he worked with. Loud, confident, always talking. They dominated every conversation, took credit for ideas, made big promises. And every time Daniel tried to speak, someone would cut him off. Or worse, ignore him completely. At first, it hurt. More than he showed. Because deep inside, Daniel had ideas. Strong ones. He saw things others didn't. He understood problems faster than most. He noticed details no one paid attention to. But he kept it all inside. Not because he was afraid, but because he was watching, learning, understanding. While others were busy talking, Daniel was studying. He watched how people made decisions. He noticed patterns in success and failure. He paid attention to what worked and what didn't. And slowly, something started to change. While they were speaking, he was improving. While they were arguing, he was building. While they were chasing attention, he was mastering himself. But no one noticed. Months passed. Then something unexpected happened. The company announced a major opportunity. A new project. Big responsibility. Big reward. Everyone wanted it. The loud ones were confident. They spoke the most, promised the most, presented themselves as the obvious choice. Daniel? He said nothing. People laughed again. Of course he's not applying. He doesn't have what it takes. He's too quiet to lead anything. But what they didn't know was that Daniel had already prepared. Every late night, every silent observation, every moment he chose not to speak, he was building something, a plan, a solution, a vision no one else had seen. The day of the final decision came. One by one, the loud voices presented their ideas. Big words, big confidence, big promises. But underneath, very little depth. Then it was Daniel's turn. The room went quiet. Some people barely looked up. They expected nothing. Daniel stood up slowly, took a breath, and began to speak. And in that moment, everything changed. He didn't rush. He didn't shout. He didn't try to impress. He simply explained, clearly, calmly, confidently. And what he presented silenced the entire room. Every problem they had overlooked, he had already solved. Every risk they ignored, he had already calculated. Every gap in their plans, he had already filled. It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It was undeniable. For the first time, people were not interrupting him. They were listening, really listening. When he finished, no one spoke, not because they had nothing to say, but because there was nothing to argue. Days later, the decision was announced. Daniel got the project. The same people who laughed at him were now confused, shocked, silent, and suddenly, they started noticing him. But here's the truth they didn't understand. Daniel didn't win because he was quiet. He won because of what he did while being quiet. Silence gave him something they never had: focus, clarity, awareness. While they were trying to be seen, he was becoming valuable. While they were trying to sound smart, he was actually learning. While they were chasing attention, he was building results. And that's the part most people miss. Being quiet doesn't make you weak. It gives you an advantage, if you use it right. Because silence is not empty. Silence is where growth happens. Silence is where discipline is built. Silence is where real strength is developed. The world celebrates noise, but success often grows in silence. And here's the powerful truth. The quiet ones don't lose. They just take longer to be noticed. But when they finally rise, they don't need to prove anything. Because their results speak louder than words ever could. So if you've ever felt overlooked, ignored, or underestimated, good. Because that might be your greatest advantage. Use that silence. Build in it. Grow in it. Master yourself in it. And one day, you won't need anyone's attention. Because your success will make them look twice. And by then, you won't even need them to notice. If this story spoke to you, if you're one of the quiet ones, then this message was meant for you. Comment below. I move in silence. Like this video if you believe silence is power. Share it with someone who feels overlooked. And subscribe for more powerful stories that will change how you see life. Because sometimes, the quiet ones don't just win. They redefine what winning means.